I came from a family, my mother was a yellow dog Democrat. I just got to say it. So at the dinner table, public service was known as the highest calling. That's what if you could do it, if you had a law degree or you made enough money for your family, what you aimed at was public service. They use this for baskets.
While perhaps not your typical Texan, State Senator Eliot Shapleigh speaks with the fervor of a fifth-generation El Pasoan.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about this great city and region that we live in. This is El Paso, downtown, right across the river, Juarez, Mexico. I think what you're looking at when you think of El Paso and Juarez is the frontier of the future. This is the growth part of Texas. This is what Texas will look like in 10, 20 years from now. El Paso's 85% Mexican-American, and I think part of public leadership is to feel great pride in the service that you do and the people you represent, and I love this place.
You gonna go to college here when you get older?
Yes, man.
Yes?
Though Eliot is proud of the people, he is even more proud of all the accomplishments they have achieved by working together.
Right over there is the first medical school in the United States in 30 years, which is something that we worked on real hard as an entire community, because without a medical school, you don't have residents, you don't have physicians, you don't have health care. And the leadership on so many of these issues in Texas is coming from border communities like El Paso, who look out in the future and say every single child deserves a good education. We can't leave them behind, not for language, not for income, not for any reason. Let's make sure that every kid gets a good education. And we have to make sure that we stand for things in the world that are important, like a fair and just immigration system that's based on the value of a human life and not based on how we can stereotype, discriminate, and use it as a political piñata.
To Eliot, El Paso represents the best of America's past and future.
I feel that America is the land of immigrants. We're here because of contributions of Albert Einstein, of millions of Americans that came here for hope, opportunity, to get away from oppression or to come to a job. And whether it was the Irish in the 1830s or the Italians and Southern Europeans in the 1870s, the Chinese in the 1920s, and now Mexican Americans, Nicaraguans, Hondurans in 2010, immigration is about seeking your potential in the world. It's human beings. It's not illegal aliens. It's not labeling people as less than human. And so here in El Paso, it is the story of immigrants. Think of us as Ellis Island of the South. And it may have been 1910 when revolution had the country in turmoil and hundreds of families came here to escape oppression, war, settled here and created a great community and went on to become the mayor of El Paso or the congressman, or even more importantly, they're teaching math over here in El Paso High School. That to me is the story of America, and immigration needs to be told in those terms. Saying over and over again.
As an advocate of public service, Eliot found both friends and allies in the social work community.
Social workers are some of the most important leaders in our community today because really that's where a lot of this change is coming from. And what's been, in my experience, the highest and best use of social work experience, innovation, and talent is in passing legislation. Conceiving those transformative ideas that impact people and going and passing them at the state legislature or at the national level to affect the lives of not one or two people, but millions of people.
Eliot credits social workers for getting out front on a bill to protect the children of deployed military personnel. A critical concern in El Paso, which has a large military community.
When there's a death in Afghanistan, 10,000 miles away, it impacts the whole school community. There is grief that permeates every single classroom. When a mother is not there for an important moment, a play, a test, there is a sense that a child has been left behind, maybe abandoned. And so social workers recognized early on that you couldn't deploy, for the first time in American history, both parents and not have an effect on the family back home. And so we worked to double the number of counselors in the school.
For Eliot, It is all about leading, and he encourages everyone to step forward.
A community is like a muscle. If you don't use it, it starts atrophying. If you don't take the reins of the future and make things happen, you're falling behind. Every community in the world faces the same issues. How are we going to thrive? How are we going to prosper? Where are we going to get jobs? My advice is step forward and be one of the ones that makes change happen, that is a leader for a better community in the future. You have a voice. Whether you're 18 or 85, you can make those things happen.